So I'll begin in just a minute. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope everyone's doing well, inshallah. Second time today that we're getting together. But, I just wanted to kind of conclude today's, or this week's rather, theme of selflessness and really share some just final kind of reflections on this idea of selflessness. What we've talked about in terms of selflessness so far is the idea of doing something for other people, even when it seems to be against your own interests. Something that perhaps would mean that you may not get what you expect or what you would normally think to get. And that is absolutely one part of it. And of course, giving and being there for those who are in need. This is part of selflessness, because rather than focusing exclusively on what we need, we focus also then on what the needs of others are. But, there's also, of course, just a higher level of selflessness, brothers and sisters. And it's not as easily attainable. But what I will say is that this level of selflessness is something that is not attained unless and until we can get to that point of what we've been talking about these past few days. We've been talking about this idea of when we're in difficult circumstances, not focusing exclusively on our own troubles or our own difficulties, but rather focusing and seeing how we can serve and we can help those who are more in need, because there are so many. And to get to the next stage, we have to first do a lot of that. We really have to make our fikr or our concern for those who, the moment something happens to our society as a whole, our thoughts go to those who are more vulnerable, those who perhaps will have more difficulty in dealing with the situation at hand. And what do I mean when I say getting to that next level? I mean what we see with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when it comes to at-Ta'if. And why is at-Ta'if an example of selflessness, we ask? And the answer is very simple. Because when it came to the Prophet ﷺ going to at-Ta'if, it was an extremely difficult situation. It was an extremely difficult situation because not only was he going with the thought process that he needed to leave his home because things had gotten so bad, but worse than that, we need to understand for a second, the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to at-Ta'if and what happened, this was immediately after the death of his uncle and his wife Khadija, radiallahu anha. His uncle Abu Talib and his wife Khadija, radiallahu ta'ala anha. And when you consider the circumstances that he was facing, the difficulty that he was going through on a personal level, and then you look at the fact that now he's realizing that he may have to leave the only home he's ever known. Now suddenly try and put yourself in that position. You've just lost the love of your life. You've just lost the greatest support you have ever had within your own family and your community. And now you think you may have to leave your home, not for any reason other than preaching the truth. Okay? Think about what all those circumstances, how you would feel in that moment. You probably couldn't handle it. You wouldn't be able to process. You would be feeling as if I just don't know what to do with these feelings. We'd be lashing out. We'd be angry. We'd be upset. It would be keep vacillating between different emotions because we wouldn't feel right. We wouldn't feel comfortable. And so in the backdrop of all this, the Prophet ﷺ heads to at-Ta'if. And when he gets to Ta'if, he finds people there who he hopes will be receptive to Islam. And particularly the Prophet ﷺ is thinking about the best way to do this. And so he goes to the family of one of the wealthier individuals in Ta'if. And so when he goes there, he goes to his three sons, because his three sons essentially were kind of his, they ran the business, if you will. And so the Prophet ﷺ goes to his three sons, and he goes to each of them individually. And they all, each and every single one of them is rude to him, and they don't want to hear his message. One of them to the extent saying that, you know what, if you're a prophet, you're too important to be around me, which is just a ludicrous way of thinking. But then he said, if you're a liar, I want nothing to do with you. And so the Prophet ﷺ finally, after working and speaking to these people, but them rejecting him so thoroughly, he just gets up, he says, look, okay, fine. If you don't want to listen, I understand. Just please don't tell the people of Mecca that I was here. That's all I ask. I'm a guest in your city. Please do not tell the people of Mecca that I came here for the purpose that I came here for. They say, yeah, sure, no problem. Don't worry about it. It's cool. Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ starts to leave, and now they do two things. Number one, they send a messenger immediately on horseback to Mecca to tell all the people. They wanted to embarrass the Prophet ﷺ. SubhanAllah, this is their thinking. That was their thought process. But more than that, then, they rile up the people in the city, the lowest class people, and they get the slaves and the children and all these people who just don't have that same, they're just easily manipulated, and they start telling them things. They start acting as if, this guy is the worst thing ever. They say the Prophet said, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. Go chase him out of the city. And so the people start going and abusing him, and not just verbally, but physically, pelting him with rocks, pelting him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with rocks. Now, in that moment, brothers and sisters, you can imagine what that must feel like. You have just gone through the greatest tragedies of your life. You lost the woman who supported you when everyone else turned their back on you. And the Prophet ﷺ himself says this. Later on in life, he says to Aisha radiallahu anha that Allah did not give me better. She was there for me when nobody else was there for me. She believed in me. She supported me. She gave her money for me. Nobody else believed in me like Khadija radiallahu anha. He says this to Aisha radiallahu anha. And then he lost his uncle, the one person who said within the people of Mecca, just do what you got to do. It's okay. Do what you have to do. I'll protect you. And so in the backdrop then of all this, again, the Prophet ﷺ is now being pelted with stones. He's being cursed at. He's being called every possible name in the book. And he's trying to just leave a city. He's just trying to leave this place. And they're doing this to him. And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is walking and just pelted. One rock gets hit again and again and again and again. The narrations mention, subhanAllah, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was bleeding to an extent that his shoes, which were made of cloth, filled with his blood. They became, by the time he was done, they were caked in his blood. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was running down his legs. And so when he finally collapses and he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he makes this dua that is so beautiful, and he's asking Allah that, Ya Allah, if all that I'm going through, Allahumma ilayka ashku du'fa quwwati wa qillata hilati wa hawani ala nas, Ya Allah, if all the things that I'm going through, if they're not because of the fact that you're angry with me, I don't care. I just don't care, Ya Allah. Please, I just don't want you to be angry with me. I just want to know that I haven't done something wrong, subhanAllah. But this isn't the point I want to mention. An angel comes to the Prophet ﷺ and offers to destroy the people of Ta'if. The angel of the mountain has been given permission to crush the city of Ta'if with these mountains. And the Prophet ﷺ exemplifies what selflessness truly is in this moment. He says, rather, I have hope that there will be believers from their progeny, that their progeny, their children, their future generations will believe. I have hope in this. And he says, don't destroy them. Everything he's going through, everything he's been through, and on top of it, to be abused in such a manner that was even against the custom of the Arabs of the time. Nothing should have made the Prophet ﷺ feel like he shouldn't get revenge. Nothing. And yet, in that moment, when he had the opportunity to take the revenge that he absolutely deserved, his response was one that was not focused on his own self. His response was one that looked beyond himself and looked towards the better, the best thing for humanity, the best thing for people, what was best for individuals. Despite the fact that they had harmed him so, he still wanted what was best for them. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That, brothers and sisters, is true selflessness. And we see the barakah and the fruits of this because I have the absolute honor and privilege of being Muslim because of that decision. And why do I say that? Because the first du'at to go from the Arabian Peninsula to India, to Al-Hind, to give da'wah about Islam were from Al-Ta'if. They were from Al-Ta'if, which means anybody who is of or Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi origin, that entire region, the Indian subcontinent, they owe their Islam to the Prophet ﷺ's decision that day. Think about that for a second. SubhanAllah, it really just, if he wasn't so selfless, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if he cared more about himself, we might not be Muslim today. Anybody from that area. But you see, brothers and sisters, that is the level of selflessness that we want to achieve within ourselves. It's not to say that we're going to, because the Prophet ﷺ was rahmatun lil alamin. He was truly the mercy to all of mankind, to all the worlds. He was the mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent. But we have his example to emulate. That level, brothers and sisters, to be so focused on the bigger picture that rather than our own needs, our own desires, to focus on that which is clearly more important. This is something that will only come once we level up in our selflessness, if you will. It is not something that just happens like that. It is a process. We build ourselves. We continue to grow. Think about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says in the early surahs. The focus was on making sure that we took care, the Muslims took care of those who were most in need. That if you see an orphan, don't turn them away. If somebody asks you for something, don't deny them. In Surah Al-Duha, right? Think about these verses. These were part of the process of building the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to that point. That when he finally arrived at the absolute lowest place in his life that he had been through, in terms of his difficulties, in terms of what he was going through, and they call that year Amul Huzn, the year of sorrow. When he got to that point, in spite of that, what he focused on was not himself. He didn't have a pity party for himself. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He focused on the bigger picture. And that, brothers and sisters, is the ultimate level of selflessness. To be able to step away from that which is within relates to us and our needs and our wants and our desires and our situation, to step away from that and to look and focus on the bigger picture as it relates to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To think about how it is that we can earn his pleasure. Right? That's what true selflessness looks like, brothers and sisters. To step away from our own concerns and problems and really focus on other people. I invite all of us, inshallah, this coming Sunday to be a part of, to start that process within ourselves. Because it's not an easy thing, and I'm telling you, you don't have to donate everything you have. It's not about donating a lot. It's not about donating a little. It's not about that. It's about being willing to think about others who are in need when we have needs ourselves. Because there are absolutely those who need more than us. But at the end of the day, how do we get to that station, that level of the Prophet ﷺ, of being able to focus on the bigger picture rather than just what is in front of us, rather than what we want or what we need, we think we need? How do we get to that point? We start by just focusing on how to help other people. We start by building. When people ask, we give. When people need, we're there. And we are considerate and always thinking about what it is that we can do to help those who are less fortunate than us. That's the goal, brothers and sisters. And like I said, it's a process. You build up, you level up, but it's going to be incremental. Start at the very least by building that fikr, that concern in your own heart for those who do still need us, who need the support that we have the ability to give them. Whether or not we give a lot or a little is not the point, but that we build the habit of being able to focus on other people when we have needs ourselves. This is going to allow us to continue to grow to that next stage. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all the tawfiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please grant a cure for this ailment, this disease. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help those who are most in need across the world and allow us to be a means of their khair. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His greatest blessings and peace upon His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabina wa ala Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is Jeremy McClellan. I am trapped at home with the rest of the world, but I'm inviting you to a virtual fundraiser this Sunday, March 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Helping Hands Facebook page. This is unlike any other fundraiser. It is to raise money for global hygiene kits and food packages for areas around the world most affected by COVID-19. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. I hope to see you there.